guys, welcome to the Vibe Zone podcast for episode 11. Now, again, this is going to be another school related podcast, so it's probably not going to be as fun or unfiltered, but I mean, at least this is a topic that I think all of us enjoy, and hopefully it's one that you guys enjoy. And so today we have two other guests with me. We got Matthew Haas
Uh,
and we got Todd Grant.
Hello, guys.
All right. So our topic today is this science fiction book called Red Rising. So basically, we're gonna talk about the book, and we're gonna talk about how we're gonna talk about the book's plot, his Darrow, the main character's character development, and the hierarchy of the colors, which we will also get into. So basically, this book is about a character named Darrow. He is a red, which means he's a miner. He mines in the mines, and he mines on Mars, and he rises from red to gold.
Yeah, so the book's plot, it begins with the origin story of Darrow. One of the first things it talks about is, well, first of all, he's from a tribe called Lambdas that lives on the planet Mars, and they are trying to terraform it by mining helium-3. And one of the first things it says about Darrow is that when he was younger, his dad was hung for singing a song about rebellion, and this ends up being very important later. And then it also talks about how after his dad was killed, Uncle Darryl pretty much became his mentor. And with him as his mentor, Darrow becomes the best hell diver on Mars. And he thinks that by being the best hell diver, he'll win his tribe a bunch of food and rewards. But when he wins, it turns out that it was all a lie, and it's rigged the game. The golds don't give them the food and rewards that they deserve. So him and EO, after this, go to this place that shows like the animals and plants and all this wildlife they've never seen before. But when this happens, they get caught. Yeah, when this happens, they get caught by I think it's Greys. I'm not sure though. I think it's Greys. And when they get caught, they get punished to whippings, at which EO sings the same song. If you want to expand on that, Matthew.
yes, once EO sings a song, she's doomed herself to being hung, as it's a open declaration of rebelling against the gold and the society. The society is the way they organize. It's their system of government. It's the range from red to golds. And with her singing of rebellion and her execution, Darrow is forced to pull her feet as the gravity's not high enough there for the hanging to be effective. And after pulling her feet, he decides he's going to bury her. He talks to Uncle Darrow, and he tells him that his plan, and burying a person that's been hung is a crime punishable by death. So he's committing suicide essentially. And following that, Uncle Darrow poisons Darrow, so his heart rate's slowed by hemathis blossom, and has his feet pulled. But he wakes up days later in a mine to be rescued by Harmony and Dancer, the two sons of Ares. The sons of Ares take Darrow, and they take him to the surface and teach him testing him, and eventually they carve him into a gold, and from there he transforms into a gold, learning about their society, their way of life, their culture, their everything.
Yeah. So once he becomes a gold, he is taken to the institute where he takes a test and only gets one answer wrong, and that kind of grows some suspicion. But it just turns out he was prepared from training with Harmony and Mateo, who helped Darrow with his manners. And after that, they went. It was draft night basically, Darryl was supposed to be taking like top 3. I think he was supposed. I think he was supposed to pick number 1, but the drafters didn't want to pick him because of his anger issues. But he did end up falling top 10 to
Yeah.
House Mars.
Famous character, Lauren of Arcos was the 3rd pick.
Yeah. So then after the draft, so they all have 100 golds, high golds, low golds. And so the Institute really wants to cut the golds to 50. So what they do is have this thing called the passage where you pit 2 of your draftees against each other, and whoever kills the other one stays. And we forgot to mention this, but in the test, Darrow did meet another gold named Cassius, and before that he met his younger brother Julian, which eventually Darrow would have to kill Julian in the passage, and Cassius doesn't know yet. So later on he will, but that is when we get to the game.
So the game, it's basically the training and overall final test for the golds of the Institute before they get sent off to become imperators of fleets and praetors. And this game, at first, the kids think is just like, oh, it's a fun game that represents like feudal Europe with your own kingdoms and tribes or groups that are represented by each house. But as the game continues, they realize that it's more to show like it's a lot more violence than they originally thought. And the praetors who watch over the game on Olympus rig it so that certain people are bound to win. And as this game continues, there's divisions within their own houses, divisions outside their houses, allegiances between other houses, and it just becomes a big puzzle that Darrow has to figure out in order to become the Primus, which is the person who is the winner or the leader of the winning house. And they are bound to have a great amount of glory after the game and a very favorable position. If you want to expand on like some of the characters and like Severo, Darrow, Mustang, that'd be great.
Yeah, so Severo he's a tiny man, he's not very big, but he is very loyal, especially to Darrow. And we soon find out that he is the son of, I'm pretty sure, the House Mars Proctor, Fitchner. Yeah. And really all you would have to know about him is that he's sneaky. He basically has like his own gang. What was like the Wolves or something? It was
the Howlers.
Yeah, the Howlers, and that he's extremely loyal to Darrow. And if you want to like talk about Titus or Cassius, talk.
So Titus is Titus is a very bold, emblazoned red who also went through the carving, though not as well as Darrow did. And since Darrow had motivation and people to keep him level-headed, he wasn't consumed by rage like Titus was. Titus started to rage out and try to kill and injure and maim everyone he could. Titus was really not the best candidate for the position, as you could say. And there's also many other characters such as like Ro, Kalea, Quinn.
I mean, there's one more that we like have to capitalize on. Of course, it's Mustang.
Yeah, Mustang is, well, it's Darrow's. It's kind of like his love interest, but it's also his allegiance. Who she is of the House Minerva, and she is extremely intelligent and wise. And she is the one that actually nurses Darrow back to health after he gets stabbed by Cassius. And through this allegiance, they learn that instead of taking prisoners of other houses as slaves, they treat them as equals. And through this, they're able to overtake Olympus and ultimately allows Darrow to become Primus over the Jackal, who the Proctors had rigged the game to win. And once this happens, Darrow goes to the final meeting or dinner, and he accepts Nero Augustus' invitation become his apprentice, even though Io had been ordered to death by Nero Augustus. And Darrow only does this because he realizes that in order to live out Io's dream of making the world a better place and changing the structure, he must accept this offer.
Yeah, so that's basically the end of the first book. So obviously, there's two more. It's a trilogy, and I for one might read the second book. And Haas has already finished the second one. He's like halfway through the third one.
Yep.
He's cranking that out. So I guess the next thing we gotta talk about is Darrow's character development from being a red to a gold.
So Darrow, at the beginning of the story, he's content with how life is. He's a miner. He thinks it's his job to mine helium-3, and that's how he contributes to society. And he thinks the way it's structured with the golds being up at the top is right. But as he continues to mine, and actually not mine, but as he continues to continues his relationship with Io, he starts to change his view a little bit and realize that maybe society shouldn't be structured the way it is. Maybe that it's not fair to all the other colors. So one quote that shows that his transformation and his viewpoint is page 70. This is right before he transforms into a gold, and it says, "I looked down at my hands. They are what Dancer called them, cut, scarred, burned things. When Io kissed them, they grew gentle for love. Now that she is gone, they grow hard for hate. I clench them into fists till my knuckles are white as ice caps." This is right after Uncle Darryl takes Darrow to the Sons of Ares, who are the terrorist organization that opposes the Golds. And after this shows his hands represent his transformation from lovable, content, peaceful character into one that is fueled by hatred and a passion to change the world for the better. So if you want to talk about transitioning into gold.
Yeah. So when Darrow undertakes this carving, he not only changes physically, but he also has to learn all of golden culture and society, which is incredibly advanced as they are genetically evolved to be smarter and more intelligent than all of the other colors. But as he's going through this, he goes through several difficulties, such as on page 88, he says, "When they take my eyes and give me ones of gold, I feel dead inside." This really just brings home the fact that Darrow he's becoming something he's not. He's a 16-year-old from the mines. He's being carved into a golden monster. It's really, it changes him mentally. And it continues on, and he learns their culture. He's educated by Matteo, who is a pink that's really well educated in their golden culture, Ariate fashion. And once he goes through the passage, he learns something else. "I mutter my wife's name as I fall to cradle his head. His face has become like a blood blossom." It just shows how much he misses his old ways and how what he's done isn't what he would have done a year ago.
Yeah, and after that, throughout the book, throughout the game, he does change a little bit. He gets a little more, I wouldn't say comfortable with himself, but he learns to, accept the fact that he has to do this. And you might say he even makes a few friends here and there, friends. But yeah, he becomes a little more cocky, a little arrogant. But towards the end, he does, once he teams up with Mustang, he learns that, it's really not about being the best, but being likable and having people by your side because of that.
Yeah, so at the very end, we see that Darrow experiences his final transformation, and that he is able to realize and get past his hatred, and he's not as impulsive as he was before. So he's able to get past his ego and team up with Nero Augustus and become his apprentice. And I would just say, in terms of like English vocab, Darrow is an extremely dynamic character who experiences many transformations, both physically and mentally, throughout the book.
The last topic we have tonight, the hierarchy of colors, and Haas is going to be explaining what all of this means.
Yeah. So the society is a way of governing. It's a very social oriented method. It's basically a triangle, a pyramid, with golds at the top and reds at the bottom. Reds being essentially slaves. Um, Starting with the reds, they're the miners. Uh, they're the slaves to society. They mine helium-3. They work as slow colors in this surface, and there's many other colors like them, such as oranges, greens, browns, and sometimes even grays or tin pots. And though the grays are a bit higher above, as they're the soldiers of society, though they differ in prestige and ranking. And then up to the mid colors, there's the bronzes, there's the silvers, and then the high colors such as gold. The goldens are genetically modified monsters, essentially, and they relate to past instances of government. God, Todd can explain.
Yeah, so one of the big symbolism that sticks out to me, or comparisons that sticks out to me from the past, is medieval feudal system Europe. And this can be seen through the fact that they had a hierarchical structure that functioned on each person in society, or each level of society doing their job. And there is inequality with some levels of society experiencing a much greater quality of life than others. So the king in medieval Europe would be equal to the golds, or the peerless guard in this instance. And then you could say that the nobles are equal to like the pixies and the bronzes and the obsidians even. And then you could say that the serfs and servants are equal to the reds, the pinks, and even like the grays or the oranges. And then another real world example or topic that's seen through the colors is the aspect of social Darwinism. And this was the theory in like the late 1800s, early 1900s, that people used to validify imperialism. And social Darwinism is basically the idea that it's the survival of the fittest who are to be superior in society, or live the best quality of life. And the Golds in this instance use social Darwinism and claim that because they are superior, and because they have superior intellect, they're superior physically, they should be the ones at the top ruling the world and maintaining order. And there's a couple other real world examples I'm sure Juan could expand on.
Yeah, I do want to expand on your social Darwinism one. Not only so the golds are like, oh, since we're like the best, survival of the fittest, we should be leading. Another instance of survival of the fittest is the passage. Whoever is the fittest and wins and kills the other one gets to move on in life, while the other one is dead. So I do want to capitalize on that. Also, you could relate this to eugenics, because I do remember in the book that they did talk about how they would selectively breed and make the most perfect golds that they could. So you could relate to that. Eugenics is basically also selective breeding, especially notable in the 40s, Nazi Germany, trying to wipe out an entire race because they didn't really see them as perfect. They wanted what were they called? The traditional, like, what,
Aryan.
blue eyes? Yeah, Aryan. Yeah, the Aryan race.
Aryan
Yeah.
race.
Yeah, they wanted that. And I mean, you could also say this was, like, I think Haas said, like, slavery. And you can also relate it to racism as well. Slavery, because you got the golds, they basically rule every other color. And for racism, the golds do see themselves as superior. Those are some prime examples.
Also such as like segregation. Low colors would never touch a high color, or even sometimes they're afraid to look at them. But the high colors have no restrictions of what they do in the low color areas.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is all the time that we have today. Thank you to Matthew Haas and Todd Grant for being here tonight.
Thank you for
Thanks
having
for
us.
having us.
And remember, guys, remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, comment down what other topics we should have. I'm really thinking about starting this podcast up again if I have time, but you know, it's hard senior year, thinking about colleges, having jobs. But yeah, I mean, if you guys want this to start back up, put it down in the comments. But until next time, just keep the good vibes going.